I keep going back to this authentic thing. Some AI stuff makes people uncomfortable and feel unauthentic, and some social media is overdone and feels unauthentic. I think there's an authenticity to some of these smaller agencies. I think people are drawn to that because it's such a contrast to what's happening in the overproduced, AI'd world.
Hey everybody, it's Kathy Byrnes here with Real Estate Riches, and my guest today is Bill Melnick, and I'm excited to have him on here, doing really good up there in Connecticut. And I look forward to learning your story, Bill. Tell us about how you got started.
Oh, well, I was a merchandising executive of Ralph Lauren. I was actually at Ralph Lauren for 26 of my 30 years of my fashion career in New York City. Um,
Mm.
it was coming to a time where I really felt like I needed to make a change and do something different and less soul sucking. I guess I could say because the industry was changing so much. I was having to lay off a lot of people. Um, you know, 14-hour days were typical, and I just
Mm.
felt like you know, it was unhealthy for me to remain in the business. Although I loved working at Ralph Lauren, and it was such a great experience, and a lot of my skill set obviously has transferred to what I'm doing now. But anyway, so I wrapped it up there, and I had a 1 year non-compete. And to be honest, Kathy, I thought real estate agents were like bottom feeders and not the greatest people in the world. I mean, especially in New York City, they don't have a great reputation. So it
Mm.
wasn't something I was looking forward to getting into.
Mm.
But I was in New York City. I had a weekend house up here in the northwest corner of Connecticut in Litchfield County. And I started spending more time up here during that 1 year, thinking that I would probably get back into something in New York City and probably something else in fashion. But as I got more distance between me and that industry, I realized that, it wasn't so compelling to me. So I was introduced to Elise Harney, who is the chief broker at Elise Harney Real Estate, and it really gave me a different insight on what real estate agents could be like because the theme or their mantra at Elise Harney Real Estate is a tradition of trust.
Mm.
Uh, they really do value relationships. They're the hometown hero in the area, so people really respect them. In addition, the Harneys own the Harney Tea Company, which is a local business. It's a global
Oh,
business, but I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but it's
I'm
it's
not.
a big deal. So um, they do a lot of cross-pollination between their two businesses. So it's
Smart.
yeah.
It's interesting because when I was reading your story and I saw that you'd been with Ralph Lauren for so long, what a lot of agents don't understand is the talent, the skills, and the network that they had from whatever they did before can carry over.
Yes, exactly. And I call it a redeployment of skills.
Mm-hmm.
So I was lucky enough to have a job in merchandising and at Ralph Lauren. That means I was managing all of the business people in merchandising. That's one side of your brain. And the other half of my job was managing the creative people, the
Mm.
design people, and I managed the relationships between both of them because it's a lot of give and take. And Ralph always thought in order to get the the best product, you create the tension between the business people and the creative people. And at the end, it's going to be something great that meets the needs of both of the departments. So that kind of experience in particular has really helped me in real estate
Yeah.
because it is a business, but at the same time, there's a creative part of it. And, this is mainly a luxury business up here. And I also got to understand the luxury um, customer
Mm-hmm.
and luxury presentation, which really a lot of it mirrors what I was doing before.
Yes, I totally believe that. The lifestyle that I lived back in Michigan was a luxury lifestyle.
Mhm.
And when I moved here dead broke, I had, you know, I thought, but my luxury market could be my target market.
Yeah,
And And that is exactly what I focused on.
Yes.
So I focused on the waterfront because I'm from Michigan, lived around the water all my life. So I also figured out a niche. Did you do that too, where you kind of targeted out who would be your niche of what you were gonna do?
Sure. So unlike other agents up here, and believe me, there's lots of great agents up here. I had the advantage of just coming fresh off of living in New York, and I still maintain my apartment in New York, and my husband actually we do the opposite. He works 3 days in New York and comes here, and I go in a couple days to see him. So I had that whole sphere of influence, which was really fresh. And the main
Mm,
part of the market up here is New Yorkers buying their second home.
mm,
So I was that customer a few years back. I bought a second home up here. I knew the second home markets outside of here as well, and why this one was an advantage. So I was able to articulate that right away with the lion's share of the people up here.
wow.
Um, in addition, it's a change of lifestyle when you go from one to having a weekend home as well. Um, there's our second biggest part of the market is school parents. So
Yeah.
in the area, um, we have probably about a dozen boarding schools, including Hotchkiss, which is the number one boarding school in the country right now. So we have Hotchkiss School, Berkshire School, Salisbury School. There's the Gunnery in Washington, which is very close. And a lot of people, descend into the area to put their children in these schools.
Mm,
Uh, and some of them enroll their kids in the boarding school and then realize they really want to be closer to them, which is kind of counterintuitive to spend $100,000 for your kid to board and have an experience. And they often they move into the area, they buy or rent a house to be closer to the kids, either full time or for homecoming weekends or
hmm.
their special sporting events or parents' weekends, that kind of stuff. They like to have the guarantee that they have somewhere nice to stay while they're visiting their kids.
Wow. Well, the price point on that house must be up there because if you're already spending that much on the school and you've got a primary home, your secondary is probably still a good price point too. What do you say your average price point is there that you're dealing with?
So in Salisbury and Sharon, which are the heart of my market, our average sales price right now is about 1.2.
Okay,
But we have a big business, 1.5 to 3.5 as well.
that's excellent.
Um, just to compare that before COVID, the average price point was below 600. So during COVID, when everyone fled the city, we got a huge rush, and that's just the first year I started of people
Wow.
coming out of the city and either well, first they tried to rent. The rentals went very quickly, immediately. So there was nothing to rent, so people started to buy. And we saw in the next year to 2 years, 30 to 35% increase in the price of homes up here. And that value has really stuck. So it was really a very well kept secret in
Wow.
the
Wow.
county. It's much different than the Hamptons, where a lot of people go for their second homes in New York City. It's much more, it's kind of a luxury rural environment, what the
Hmm.
Hamptons used to be. But now the Hamptons is really, while beautiful and you have the beach, the commute has become really untenable for a lot of people. It's not uncommon that what should be a 2 hour ride has turned into 4 hours on a Friday afternoon.
Oh
Um,
man.
when you're there, even getting to the coffee shop with the traffic has become an issue. You're
Hmm.
five abreast on Main Street shopping in East Hampton on a Saturday. So, up here is different than that. You really do feel like you are escaping the city. So people realize that and have been
A
coming up
gem.
close. Yeah.
Sounds like a gem,
Oh,
especially if you live in the city. Um,
right.
I was only in New York City for 2 days, and that was the weekend of Woodstock, 1969.
Oh, wow. I think you should do a podcast specifically on that weekend.
Oh my, that's probably not a good idea. I was 19 years old, and boy, what you do at 19 is very different than what you do at later, dear.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
but it was memorable. It was quite an event. But anyway, I wanted to ask you about how AI is being infiltrated into your business.
Well, AI, I have mixed emotions about it. Because you do real estate as well, it's made a lot of our parts of our job much easier. So specifically in things like MLS listings and descriptions, it helps you tweak that. You always have to check it though, because it's
Oh yeah.
it's the kind of thing where it makes a little lake cottage seem like a massive estate sometimes. And that's just one example of things that could happen. As far as AI, choosing real estate agents for people, it's for me, my entire business is just based on relationships and word of mouth. And I think, AI doesn't really give you that. I mean, anyone can,
Oh no.
yeah, people can build up their and pay for their social media and online presence that will feed AI and maybe give an unjust or unrewarded um,
Like off track.
review, yeah,
Yeah.
review of an agent, and he or she may seem, exaggerated in their skill set. I think that happens a lot. And while I try to maintain a healthy presence on social media, um, I think there's a certain amount of inauthenticity that comes through on both platforms, whether it be Facebook or we do primarily Instagram. And when you're over AI exposed or using it too much, there's just something fake about it. I think people are starting to recognize that. I mean, I can tell
Hmm.
something that's AI even in a photo or a description or a conversation right away. And I think it turns people off.
Oh yeah, it's called AI slop. And
Yeah.
it's been I use AI extensively in everything
Uh-huh.
I do, but I'm big into marketing, I'm big into LinkedIn, and but I'll spend sometimes 2 hours on an article that I want to write in LinkedIn because I don't want it just saying whatever it says. I want it to have me integrated in there. But I have a mission within it of the formula that I want it to write and who the
Yeah.
target market is.
I,
And but for you, I think because you're in such a niche area, I think your saving grace there is that it will be relationship, and which is the ideal referral, all referral based, where you're building relationships and they trust Joan and Bill, and they'll say, you got to use Bill.
Exactly. And I think when that's over, I mean, I think the whole real estate industry will be over as well. I mean, there's a big, everyone thought, oh, Zillow is going to kill real estate agents. Um, and it didn't because that specific thing, people, especially I think at luxury clients, they want a person with
Yes,
knowledge. They want something tangible that they could speak to and, text and, you know, they want the personal experience that an agent may have.
totally
So
agree.
I think that's where AI falls short. And I think that's our opportunity going forward. Um,
Well, I think with AI, what agents are not understanding is that you can create AI agents that are
hmm
like your assistants for different tasks. That's
Right,
really where the genius is within it. And that's been evolving. That didn't just happen because I've been
right,
doing AI for 3 years and I felt like I've just been on this learning path of constant learning and like, oh my gosh, does it have any value? Because you just keep getting better and better and better. But
right.
what's the net of how it's helping my business? You know?
Yes, exactly,
And
exactly.
these AI agents, which is called agentic, is where they have a specific task and they go do it. Like
Yeah.
my daughter's literally creating some software that she's what they call vibe coding, where you talk into it and then it writes its own code. So
Wow.
it's replacing all the code guys, and
Uh-huh.
because you can do it by just talking it in. I created an app myself by vibe coding. I'm with EXP, and a lot of agents have questions about it, and I said, instead of me spending all the time on answering all the questions, let me create a basic app where you can ask all your questions. But if you can't, now you want to go the next level and talk to me, it says,
Yeah.
okay, go into our calendar and make an appointment. So it's slick as it could be. It took me probably 4 days to create it and tweak it to the level that I wanted it. And it's on a free platform.
Wow.
So that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about that AI can start to do where it saves you time. And the one my daughter's creating is going to have like an office manager of your business
Right.
who has another agent who takes care of all your email,
Wow.
analyzes it, and does that. Another one creates your social media content, tells you what people are searching for right now and how to create content around that. Um, Another one runs your business, gets your
Uh-huh.
QuickBooks or whatever in order, and that's my point. All these different AI agents, but we're here to sell real estate. I don't want to be figuring all that out. And I
Oh,
don't want
right.
to spend a fortune for it, but I'd sure like to have it as a tool to reduce my time costs because time is our money.
That's true. And I think it's a great tool.
Hmm.
And I'll continue to use it. I'm just, very trepidatious as I go
Of
through to
course.
keep my personality in it, make sure that it doesn't become something that's, you know, like a
It's
bot.
ridiculous. Yes.
So
Yes.
I appreciate that, I mean, who would ever think we'd be to this point? I mean, I we're all on AI and ChatGPT and all of those other things several times a day now. I mean, and
Yeah.
so quickly. So this is only we're only in the first inning of all of this. Who knows
Right.
what it's going to be like a year from now? I don't know. And then sometimes I think, are people going to get sick of this?
Um, I don't,
The genie's out of the bottle.
yeah.
So, um, so we'll see where that goes. It'll be
I just
interesting.
discovered something. I was in my email and I know that there's a little thing that says Google, what is it? Google, Gemini. There's a little thing up in the corner. It says Gemini. So I pushed it, which opens like a 2-inch column on the right-hand side of your screen. And I'm
Mhm.
trying to copy an email that I got into it. And I said, hey, I'm not able to copy this email in there. And it goes, are you talking about that email? And it described it. I said, are you telling me that you can see that email? And it goes, yes, I can. I go, oh, okay. Well, then tell me what this email means. I'm feeling like it might be spam. And it goes, oh, it's spam. It's the fourth one you've gotten in the past 2 months. Definitely, because it was from Meta. It looked like.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that, so it saved me from pushing on some links. But how about that it was right there? And I said,
Oh,
I said, are you able to go ahead and delete different emails that I could tell you I want deleted? And it goes, no. I said, all right. But it can advise me what's going on in my email if I open it up. That was just one thing.
yeah.
And then I started to realize this is free too. I started to realize that I could use you as a coach. Like if I had a question, like let's say, um, what's the capital of whatever, and
Yeah.
it'll tell me the answer, but that's, an exaggerated thing. All day long you have questions, and if you could just
Yeah.
ask it and say, give me your resource on it, because I do like the resources. It was
Sure, sure.
amazing.
I mean, I find it fascinating. It's like exhilarating when you first find something that you didn't know it could do or something
Yeah,
different, but I also find it scary.
of course.
So the fact that it was reading your emails, and I
Well,
know it's doing it to me too. It's just
I was like, wow, okay. Well, then I have to let go of the scary only because I
Uh-huh.
have no power over it.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
how can I just use it
Right.
and to my best advantage? But I love how you were giving me some pointers in the request that my people said. So one of the biggest lessons is your transferable skills that we kind of talked about that you brought over from,
Sure.
yeah. And the other one was authenticity wins. I love that because integrity is critical to me and
Yeah.
the realness, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And that's something, as we just go forward with our AI conversation, that's something that AI can't give you. So you definitely need to have the balance.
Yes, yes, it's critical. And timing and preparation for everything in real estate. Boy, I think that's so true. Unfortunately, so many agents get into the industry and no one's teaching them. See, you had the beauty of being in a well-respected boutique firm where
Hmm.
their reputation was on the line and they wanted to make sure that you probably knew how to do things. They valued your skill set that you were bringing already and saw clearly merit in you, but they saw the integrity. But that's so important. And when you're in a city, like maybe even New York City, where agents are just a dime a dozen and just come to my firm and so we can get a bunch of fees from you,
Yeah.
where you're not necessarily trained well in etiquette in so many things.
Yeah.
And I think that is why the reputation of the industry has some bruises on it, let's say.
No, it's true. But you know what? I think that you'll probably agree, like getting into real estate as a young person is very difficult. I mean, first, the obvious, you may not make any money for a very long time. So you often
Yes.
have to have a job, a second job to support yourself. And when you can't focus on one thing, it's not the best. Also, as going into something new and reinventing yourself, which we talked about, you know, it's kind of perfect for that situation because you have all the life experience and all of the skill sets that you bring from your previous occupation or from your previous life. And
Yes.
that really helps. And just
Mhm.
going back to the relationships and how to speak to people, it's invaluable. And also hopefully by that point, and like not all the time, but you have like a little nest egg that you could
Yeah.
or you're in a relationship that someone can support you while you're starting out and going through that part of your career in real estate that makes it easier to get started.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's very important going back to communication. And I used to tell my people at Ralph Lauren this, and I think this is important in communicating. It's very important what you say, but it's also there's a whole list of things that it's important that you don't say. So sometimes I feel that people want to talk more than they want to listen, and I think that you have to get across your experience and why you're good with the people and your commonality and all that. But a lot of it is just listening, and then
Mhm.
from that you may learn a lot more and look a lot less um, anxious and a lot more eager in a bad way, um,
Mhm.
and look more professional.
Yeah. Well, I think it's very important, especially in the beginning. You're just
Hmm.
asking questions, getting to know them, motivation, goals, vision, whether you're a buyer or a seller, what's
Sure.
behind all this? Do we have any drama here? Like, is it a divorce? Is it whatever? You want to know all those pieces, like who are my players? And the more that you're asking questions, I think the more that they feel comfortable, buyer or
Yeah,
seller, with because you are trying to understand their situation, not I'm
exactly.
trying to get the deal.
Right.
Yes,
Exactly. And
yes.
you know that, and I know that, but we see people all the time, even with experience. I'm like, you're talking too much. You're gonna blow this, so be quiet. So, that's just something that comes, I think with age as well,
Yes.
to listen and not to talk as much, but
Hmm.
to learn it. I think the most successful people realize that early.
Yeah. I have coached a lot of agents through the different firms that I've been with, and really, this is a form of coaching. The reason I started this was I wanted to get experienced agents sharing what's working for them so that they can bring it back in. And this is also played not only on all the podcast channels, but on a radio channel that is KGCI Radio, which is all real estate podcasts,
Oh,
and it's wonderful. I'm on there every Thursday at 1 o'clock, and
that's great.
and
I'm
what's
gonna-
great about it is you can listen to that stuff in your car, especially if you're a new agent. Go listen to the gold that people are sharing to level up, not be in your pocket to sell you something else, which is also very common in our industry.
Absolutely. And there's always more to learn.
Yeah, every day. Every client is a learning experience. Every house is a learning experience. Every other agent that you're working with is a learning experience, and that's the beauty, I think, of the industry. I love the learning part, and And now I love the teaching part, to share it.
Right. Well, you're
Yeah.
so smart to get into podcasting, and you're actually very good at
Oh, thank you, buddy.
it. How did that come about? How did you start? Like, what
Well,
was the idea?
uh, I thought when COVID hit, the
Mhm.
first thing I did was figure out how can I be seen during this time. And so I started on Zoom where I was doing just a Zoom and you could make it go live to Facebook at that time.
Mhm.
And I thought, well, it's gonna be at 3:30 every day. I'm gonna interview lenders. I'm gonna interview the inspectors, all the different components of a business transaction that you would
Right.
do for a sale, right? Other agents, a lot of lenders. I had a regular lender that would come on, and I did this daily, Monday through Friday.
Hmm.
And the whole goal was to talk about how do we get through this since we can't go out and see anybody. And
Right.
we still have houses where we got to sell and people have to still move. So how do we do it? And so that became a thing for me. And what I learned was I forget the platform I used had a pirate's face. I can't remember his name. But anyway, you could make it go live at a later date in all these different Facebook platforms, all
Wow.
these
Yeah.
groups. So
Uh-huh.
it put me all over the place. And I am comfortable talking to people, and that's
Yes.
just what this feels like. And
Mhm.
so that really blew me up during COVID. And at the time I was on a team and my the team owner said, he goes, Kathy, you're going to live well past COVID because you just branded yourself to a much bigger audience than you ever had. And it
That's
was true.
fantastic. Yeah.
And and then when about how long about I think this is about my 125th episode. So I do
Oh,
one a week that comes out one a week, but sometimes I record two or three times, on a Wednesday.
yeah.
And my goal is to talk to agents and empower agents. One of my license plates on my car it says empowered. When I moved here, I was very empowered to start life over again. And
Hmm.
so I got that for myself, but as it evolved, it was not only about being empowered, it was about empowering. And
Right.
so I love that anchor to remind myself of all of that all the time. And I wanted to do this to empower other agents, but I also wanted to meet agents all around the country. If they wanted to hear about EXP, I wanted to share that
Yeah.
with them. Um, but also, it's just a great platform for people to learn and grow from. I learn from it. You learn from it,
Uh-huh. Sure. Yeah. It's
you know?
great. I really appreciate that.
So now we've got two big things that have happened this year. Now, I
Hmm.
don't see them affecting your area so much, but I'm curious. Did you have any one of the Compass Anywhere franchises in your area? And
Well,
go
yes.
ahead.
Yeah. So Sotheby's was bought by Compass.
Yes, Sotheby's.
So, other than my agency, which is the number one in the area, Sotheby's is probably second.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and they have a ton of agents. Um, and they advertise, a global exposure,
Mm-hmm. Which they
uh,
have.
which you and I both know if you're on MLS and Zillow, you have a global exposure. So I don't understand what
No, you don't.
yeah.
You don't have a global exposure on Zillow and the MLS. That's a U.S. exposure.
Hmm.
It truly isn't global. And here's the only exposure that they've got because the international, they don't have an MLS. They have what they call portals, and that those individual companies have to buy into, and they're very controlled and they're very pricey. And if they don't like what you're doing, they'll up your price and maybe disappear your listing. And
Sure.
so it's for an area, much like our MLSs might cover an area, but it's not all the listings. And a lot of them are not even put on the portals. They're all off market. So it's a
Right.
crazy, so what they're saying is we've got people in other countries and I can call them up at that franchise over there. And I can say, hey, I got a client who wants to move to Italy and they're thinking, Florence, and
Mhm.
do we have a Florence chapter agency over there so they can,
Right.
so it's not really smooth, but it gives the impression, and I'm not knocking it, just
I get it. I get it. but luckily for us, Zillow's at least national, and 100% of my business is done with people in the
Well,
US.
that's what I'm thinking for you.
So,
It's nothing.
yes. So for us, it's actually a big advantage, I think, being in a smaller boutique firm who has deep ties to the community. We have a handful of agents compared to the Sotheby's people who have a lot who are very skilled and
Excuse me.
market really well. So it's just, I think in Sotheby's, they water it down a little bit with a lot of different agents. And believe me, there's some great agents in Sotheby's. I'm friends with a lot of them. I'm
Sure,
not
sure.
jealous of them. If I was, I would go work there. But I like the idea of being with a smaller firm, and it's been really advantageous to me and to our clients. I mean, we're really the go-to agency in the county.
Well, I
People,
think it is that warm and comfy feel
yeah,
in your area. I
sure,
think you put a little boutique in my area where we're surrounded by it, it isn't that comfy, cozy feel of the territory.
sure, yes, I understand.
So,
And
yeah.
also, my agency, Elise Harney Real Estate, um, the family also owns the Harney Tea Company,
Yeah.
uh, which is it's probably one of the biggest employers in the area.
Mm,
And it is a very well-loved American company that makes tea even for the royal weddings in England. Uh,
wow.
there's a little tea house in one town over, and it's great to be affiliated with them.
Sure, sure. No, I love that. Um, I was just curious to see, so Sotheby's is the one in your town, a lot more agents, which makes sense. And then this Remax. Are there any Remax offices in your area?
There's not. We do. A Compass is starting to creep in a little bit, especially on the New York side.
Yeah.
Uh, but that's pretty much it. And there's one or two other boutique agencies in the county that seem to do pretty well.
hmm Well, I'm feeling your specific territory in the States
Yeah.
is cozy, comfy, and the residents there want that, and they probably refer the people that are saying, "Hey, I want to check that out," versus somebody cold saying, "I think I want to live in that town out of all the towns in the United States." It feels like it's more people are hearing about it from other people, wouldn't you say?
It is true, but I keep going back to this authentic thing, and I think the same thing that, some AI stuff makes people uncomfortable and feel unauthentic, and some social media is overdone and feels unauthentic. I think there's an authenticity to some of these smaller agencies. And I
Yeah.
think people are drawn to that because it's such a contrast to what's happening in the overproduced, AI'd world that we're just on the precipice of realizing. And I'm not putting my head in the sand saying, hey, this is going to be our future. I know that. But I think keeping your foot kind of in the real world while you're doing this and using it as a tool and not
Yes.
as your whole thing it's very important. And I think,
Critical.
ironically, I think that is why, in a roundabout way, that our agency is successful.
Yeah, I do too. Any last tips for our audience here?
Um, let's see. Well, it is a tough time in real estate for us in particular. It wasn't so much, um, the stock market or the cost of living. It was because we had a terrible winter. So
Mm,
our first quarter is usually so busy that it's Wall Street bonuses come due in New York City February 1st. So a lot of people are looking to be in for the summer because of the horrible cold and snow that we had in the whole Northeast corridor. It really put a lot of that on hold,
mm,
especially with listings coming to market. So now there's a lot of backup demand, and um, we're seeing a lot of activity again in the marketplace. So I would say just be patient and wait for the next wave, whatever that may be in your area.
yeah.
Everything seems to be cyclical.
Yeah, it's so true. I love that. It was great talking to you, Bill. I appreciate you being on here.
Sure. No, I loved meeting you too, and I love that you're doing this podcast.
Thank you. Well, that's it, everybody. Another Real Estate Riches podcast here. And if you like it, please subscribe. Bill's information is going to be right below in the description, so you can reach out to him, which would be great. So if you want to be in a cozy little town like he's got, that would be awesome. And if you're in North Carolina, be sure and think about me. Talk to you soon, everybody. See you on the next one.